All right. Settle in, folks. Grab your coffee, your tea, whatever you've got going there. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Sip and Talk.
Good to be back.
So today, we're diving headfirst into something that's been bouncing around in our heads lately, all thanks to a certain someone who shall absolutely remain nameless. You know how it is.
Lips sealed.
But this whole idea, this offended or appreciated question, it's got us thinking, and we figured, you might be curious too.
Exactly. And it really kind of boils down to this thing we both noticed, right? Why do some people who aren't black, and yeah, we're talking white people, but also I've noticed it with some Asian folks too.
Yeah, me too.
Why do they sometimes talk in a way that, well, it sounds black? It's a real head scratcher when you start to unpack it. Where's it from? What does it mean?
Totally. So let's try and make some sense of it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first off, when we say talking black, what does that actually sound like? It's not like everyone's suddenly, spitting rhymes 24/7.
Right, good point. It's more nuanced than that. Often, what people are picking up on is the use of AVE.
African-American Vernacular English, right. We've touched on that before.
Exactly, AAVE.
Yeah.
So think about the rhythm, the kind of melody of speech maybe, the intonation, how words are stressed.
Okay.
Then there's the vocabulary. Like you hear specific slang, yo, finna, instead of going to lit for awesome, maybe on God, or dead ass for seriously.
Yeah. Hear those all the time.
And it's not just the words. AAVE has its own grammar, like saying he be tripping. That's not just like a mistake in standard English. Yeah. It actually means something specific, like a habitual thing he does. It's a whole linguistic system. Ralph.
Okay, I'm with you. I've definitely heard those phrases, that kind of flow. So where did it all come from? It didn't just appear out of nowhere, right? There's history here.
Oh, absolutely. Deep roots. These language features come directly out of African-American culture, evolved over generations. But how they spread beyond that community, that's where popular culture comes in, big time.
Ah, okay. Like what?
Well, think about hip-hop music. Its global influence is massive, right? It's carried so much AAVE vocabulary and speech patterns into the mainstream.
For sure.
And it's not just music. You've got street culture, incredibly influential black comedians. Think Dave Chappelle, how he uses language. And now, black creators on TikTok, Instagram, they're huge. Pop culture is basically a superhighway for language.
That makes total sense. You hear it in songs, you see the captions, the videos. It just sort of seeps in, doesn't it? Even if you don't really have a direct connection yourself.
Exactly.
So, okay, the big question then is why? Why do people from non-black backgrounds start using these ways of speaking? What's the draw?
Well, a huge piece is definitely social media and just media generally. I mean, you see people online who are seen as cool or influential and they talk a certain way. It's kind of natural to pick it up, maybe consciously, maybe not. On TikTok, YouTube, Insta, using certain words or a certain rhythm, it can be a way to signal an identity, maybe trying to seem cool or authentic or just down to earth. It's almost like trying on a persona.
Yeah, like choosing your slang to fit in with your friends, but kind of bigger on a cultural scale.
Exactly. And then there's the whole urban culture aspect, right?
Yeah.
In cities with lots of mixing, like parts of the Bronx or South Central LA, language just naturally blends. People are living close, talking all the time. Language evolves.
That's just natural interaction.
It is. And we also probably need to think about white musicians who've had huge success in genres that lean heavily on AAVE.
Yeah.
Eminem, Post Malone, Jack Harlow.
Yeah, definitely.
Their use of it raises that really tricky question. Is it appreciation? Are they showing respect? Or is it something else? Is it exploitation?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Where is that line? It feels so blurry sometimes. Appreciation versus taking something.
Right. And to figure that out, or at least trying to, we need to ask a couple of key things. First, do you actually understand the cultural background? Do you respect it?
Okay. Understanding and respect. Got it.
And second, are you getting some kind of benefit, social capital, coolness points, whatever, from using this cultural element, while the people who originated it might still be facing disadvantages or marginalization because of it?
Whoa. Okay, so it's not just, hey, that sounds cool, I'm going to say that.
Definitely not. There's a deeper layer. I mean, linguists like Geneva Smitherman have talked about AAVE being this powerful expression of black resilience and identity. It shouldn't be treated carelessly,
Right. It has weight.
And thinkers like Stuart Hall remind us that, yeah, culture shapes who we are, but we always need to look at the power dynamics when cultures interact.
Can you think of any examples, like where this has actually caused friction or felt awkward.
Oh, sure. You see it online. Definitely. There have been white social media influencers who get super popular, and a big part of their thing is using AAVE, but they don't really acknowledge where it comes from or seem to have any connection to Black culture beyond the slang.
Like that white girl slay talk thing on TikTok a while back.
Exactly. Yeah. That was a huge point of discussion. But then you might see other examples. Maybe someone who uses AAVE, but also very clearly shows respect, actively supports Black culture, understands the origins. It seems like the way it's done, the intent behind it, really matters in how it lands.
Yeah, okay. It's like the difference between someone genuinely trying to learn Spanish and respect the culture versus someone just throwing on a sombrero for laughs, maybe.
Kind of, yeah. It's about the attitude and the context.
Now, something I've definitely noticed, or felt sometimes, is this sense of a double standard. Who gets applauded for talking a certain way and who gets criticized?
You're hitting on a crucial point. There can be a stark difference. A Black person speaking AAVE might get flagged as unprofessional or uneducated in certain settings, school, work.
Right. Judged for it.
While a white person using similar language might be seen as, I don't know, edgy or having personality or being funny.
That seems incredibly unfair. So what's the root of that? Why the different reaction?
Well, the core issue is that language isn't just words. It's tied up with identity, with history, with social status. When elements of a language from a marginalized group are adopted by the dominant culture, especially without that understanding or respect, it can end up reinforcing harmful stereotypes. It can further marginalize the original speakers. It gets really problematic when bits of a culture are used like decoration, like a cool accessory.
While the people who created it are still dealing with real inequality.
Exactly. That's when it tips into appropriation and exploitation.
Okay. So it sounds pretty negative, but is it always bad? Is there any potential upside to this kind of language sharing? Can anything good come from it?
Well, look, cultural exchange is natural. Languages borrow from each other all the time. That's how they grow and change. It's not inherently wrong.
So maybe.
It's possible, that especially for younger generations, engaging with different cultures through language, even if it starts as imitation, might eventually lead to, genuine curiosity and maybe greater understanding down the road.
Okay, a potential silver lining, maybe. But we still need to be careful, right? What are the main pitfalls to watch out for?
Yeah, absolutely careful. A big one is what some people call taking without responsibility.
Yeah.
Just grabbing the bits you like because they sound cool or feel fun without bothering to learn about the context, the history, the people behind it.
Just consuming it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And related to that is the risk of dehistoricizing it, only seeing the trendy part, the cool slang, and completely ignoring the history of struggle, oppression, resilience that actually shaped that language or cultural practice.
Stripping it of its meaning, basically.
Exactly.
So what's the takeaway here? If you find yourself using words or ways of speaking that aren't originally from your own background, how should you approach it? What's the recommendation?
I think the most important thing is self-awareness and education. Learn about the cultural context before you adopt something. Understand where it comes from.
Your homework.
Yeah. And if you come from a position of privilege, be conscious of that. Be aware of the social dynamics at play. And fundamentally, just show respect. Respect the history, respect the people, respect the struggles tied to that language.
Okay. Understand, be aware, respect. That makes sense. So we've really dug into this language aspect of cultural appropriation. But let's zoom out a bit. How do we even define offense or cultural appropriation more broadly? These words get thrown around so much.
You're right. They can feel like moving targets sometimes.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, offense is about speech or actions that harm or upset others, especially when it's disrespectful towards groups that are already marginalized or facing discrimination.
Okay. Causing harm or upset.
And cultural appropriation, like we've been discussing, is typically understood as adopting elements of a marginalized culture by members of a dominant culture, often without that understanding or respect we talked about. It can be seen as exploitative.
Like the AAVE example, using it just to seem cool could fit both.
It definitely could, yeah. But it's crucial to remember these definitions aren't set in stone. They're highly debated. What one person sees as appropriation, another might see as appreciation. It really depends on the context, the intent behind it, the history, the power dynamics, the specific situation. It's complicated.
Yeah, no easy answers. And that kind of leads into another feeling that seems to be out there lately, this idea that maybe political correctness has gone too far. You hear about cancel culture, people being super careful about language.
Right. There's definitely a narrative a perception that political correctness has become more, let's say, intense or extreme in recent years. You see discussions around cancel culture, yeah, but also things like language policing, being very careful about gendered language, for example, or debates around revising historical narratives.
And people have strong feelings about it.
Oh, absolutely. Very different views. Supporters argue it's necessary to protect vulnerable groups, to promote inclusivity, to challenge long-standing biases. Critics, on the other hand, often worry about it suppressing free speech, creating a climate of fear, or leading to overreactions.
What are some specific examples people point to when they say it's gone too far?
Well, you hear anecdotes about companies maybe over-adjusting policies, trying to avoid any possible offense. Social media definitely plays a role. It can amplify minor incidents, sometimes leading to what feels like a disproportionate pile-on.
The online outrage machine?
Kind of, yeah. Cancel culture itself is a big one. Public condemnation, boycotts, people losing jobs or platforms. Then there's language monitoring, like replacing mankind with humankind, which some praise as inclusive and others criticize as overly meticulous, maybe even silly. There have also been debates about free speech on university campuses, with some accusing administrations of limiting debate in the name of safety or political correctness. And, of course, the ongoing discussions about removing controversial monuments or reevaluating historical figures. Supporters see it as correcting historical injustices. Critics see it as erasing history.
It touches a lot of different areas.
It really does. And social media gives everyone a platform to be a sort of moral judge, which can rapidly amplify things and maybe lead to those overreactions we mentioned.
So why now? Why does it feel like things have gotten more intense recently? What's behind that perception?
It's likely a mix of things. You've got the rise of identity politics, for sure. Social movements like Black Lives Matter and Me Too have brought issues of systemic injustice and offensive behavior right to the forefront, raising everyone's sensitivity.
Makes sense.
Political correctness has also, frankly, become a weapon in the culture wars. It's often used, particularly by conservatives, to frame progressive ideas as left-wing extremism.
Right, it becomes a political football.
Exactly. And historically, these intense debates about norms and language often bubble up during periods of significant social change or institutional shifts, like when universities or workplaces become more diverse. It challenges the old ways of doing things.
So with all this complexity, all these different viewpoints, how do we navigate it? Is there a way to find some kind of balance?
That's the goal, isn't it? Ideally, thinking about political correctness, or maybe just thinking about being considerate, should be a tool for promoting understanding and respect between people. It shouldn't be about creating this rigid checklist of forbidden words or ideas that shuts down genuine conversation.
So more about the spirit than the letter of the law, maybe.
Something like that. Cultural exchange, including language, happens. It's part of human interaction. It shouldn't be completely forbidden territory, but it absolutely needs to be approached thoughtfully, carefully, with a real effort to avoid causing harm or disrespect. Like we keep coming back to with the language example. Yeah. It often boils down to the way you engage, your purpose for doing it, and the attitude you bring. Are you appreciating or appropriating? Are you trying to connect or just consume?
Right. Intent and impact. So wrapping this up then, we've covered a lot of ground. Why some folks might adopt elements of AAVE, that really fine, often blurry line between appreciation and appropriation.
And the bigger picture of how we define offense, how we navigate this whole landscape of political correctness, which is constantly shifting. Definitely no simple answers.
Not at all. And it really does make you pause and think, doesn't it? About your own words, how you talk, how it might land with different people.
Absolutely. It's a continuous process, right? Trying to be more mindful, more respectful in how we communicate across cultures.
Totally agree. Well, that's about all the time we have for this deep dive, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in and thinking through this with us.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
And hey, if you dug this conversation, if it got you thinking, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the Sip and Talk podcast so you don't miss the next one.
Please do.
And while you're clicking around, definitely go check out our buddy Micky's YouTube channel. Seriously, good stuff over there.
You won't regret it.
All right, that's us for this time. Catch you all next time.